Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for this amazing panel.
Great. So Carla is on her way up, and so we'll see her momentarily. We'll just have her come onto the stage. It's hard because I can't see everyone. So that I almost never ask the questions that I've given them in the past. And so it's usually whatever I'm thinking about as I'm on the stage. So during Clean Power, and everyone will get an opportunity to participate in Clean Power along with Clean Power in Color. And so all the panels at Clean Power are going to be about the industry, and they're going to be about, manufacturing and all of those things, litigation and legislation and advocacy and citing and permitting. And so we know you know all of that, and you'll get the opportunity to hear that at Clean Power. What I'd like to do on this panel is actually, since we have all incoming CEOs here, it's just a couple of years, a matter of time, we want an authentic conversation about what it really means to be a CEO. And so my first question is for you to introduce yourself. Tell us how long you've been CEO and whether the job is what you thought it was. What the job is versus what you thought it was going to be. So Jason, I'll start with you.
All right. Well, first off, after those introductions, I am deathly afraid of underwhelming all of you. But we will try to do our best here. My name is Jason Allen. I'm the CEO at LRE. I've been in the position for 5 years now. But I've been in the energy industry for 36 years. I have literally pushed electrons my entire career and have been successful because of the teams that have been around me. It is not because of what I've done, it's because I've had the opportunity to work with some really amazing people. So to answer your question is, has the job been what I thought it was going to be? And I'll answer that as part of it was absolutely yes, it was. And there's a lot of times where absolutely it is not what I expected it to be. I will tell you that I was very reluctant to take the position. I'm an engineer, I'm a generation guy, I like equipment, and I knew this position would be different. But I can tell you it has been an extremely rewarding opportunity that I would not go back and do differently.
Okay, we'll get to that. Yep. Robert.
I'm Robert Tabb, President and CEO of Signal Energy, soon to be Covalt Power. We're going through a rebrand. I've been in the role since October of 24. To answer your question, yes, I think both ways, right? So there's been a lot of things that I expected, and a lot of things that have not been surprises, but a little bit different on the side of what's expected. Being a part of everything, it comes with the role. I think the biggest unexpected piece of it is wearing the emotions of the organization, right? The ups and the downs of the organization, and having to be the steady rock. It's like the duck on the water, right? Under the water, you're paddling really fast and heavy, but on top, you got to keep kind of a calm surface. So I think that would be the biggest difference.
Hi, everyone. Ken Young. I'm the CEO of Apex Clean Energy. So we're a large independent power producer, all renewables, wind, solar, storage. We're headquartered in Charlottesville, Virginia. I've been with the company 11 years. I was the COO for a number of years, and then a transition to management. Have been in this position for about 3 years. I've been in the wind industry, primarily where I started, about 20 years. I worked for Vestas. I worked for a couple of owner-operators, and probably something you'll hear from me today is I'm completely informed by failure. So there are a lot of times I thought about getting out of this industry, and we've been up and down, and here we are at another crossroads of challenge. I'll say we're much better prepared to manage the challenges we're seeing today. In terms of this role, I'm incredibly surprised by the amount of grace I've been given and access. People have oh, you must be super busy, and sometimes I'm not really that busy. So it's really nice to have that kind of the freedom of grace.
But your COO is so busy.
Yeah, that's right. That's the other part of me. I haven't hired one of those yet. So that's my last job. But the other side is maybe that managing expectations. people expect that I all of a sudden know more or I'm smarter than I was yesterday. I'm not. Same flawed person. So how do we manage imperfect information, imperfect decision making, and how do we portray our strategy, our intention, and our tactics out to our incredible team? I will just say it is an incredible honor in any leadership position and privilege. And I think if we treat leadership as an honor and privilege, and we stray from that, we all have egos. We try to tamp that ego down and remember who we're working for. I think that's a North Star that can guide us all.
And we'll have Carla come up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Delayed flight.
The late Carla Walker Miller. Good morning.
And so, Carla, I asked everyone to introduce themselves. And I should let you breathe, but introduce themselves. How long you've been a CEO, and whether it was what you thought it was going to be. What you thought it was going to be versus what it really is.
Sure. I'm the founder and CEO of Walker Miller Energy Services. It's a 26-year-old company, and our mantra is catalyzing equity and catalyzing excellence. I didn't know what to expect, but I started my own company as a result of 18 years of corporate trauma, so I knew it was going to be better than what I had gone through. And again, I thought that we were going to be a two-person company and make money, and that would be it. And then the recession hit. And we're in 6 states, 215 team members. We're doing energy efficiency, beneficial electrification, and virtual power plant development now. I thought that they didn't call it this 26 years ago, but my idea of being a boss was being a boss. I have learned that being a boss is all about service. It's about servicing your team members. It's about servicing your customers and your clients. It's about servicing the community. So it is absolutely the opposite. A good CEO, a good manager, develops people. And one of the things that we are working really hard to do is to help our team members feel safe enough to show up as their best authentic selves. Not your authentic self, because if you bring your authentic self, I might have to bring mine, and it would not be pretty. So we want them to want to be with the company. We want to bless them. We want to bless all of our team members so that they want to stay. But what we require is higher now than it used to be, because we want all of our team members to feel they have a safe space.
Thank you. Ken, so I guess we all wonder kind of how do you get to that position? Do you have to go to a certain business school? Do you have to do a certain, take a certain path? So Ken, I actually love the story about how you even got to Apex from Vestas and how you kind of took that path, because I think it's really meaningful for people to hear because it feels accessible.
Yeah, I don't know how far you want me to take it, but so I worked at Vestas for 4 years. There was a point in time I worked there. I sat in one of the factories in Colorado. We had $2 billion of factories. 1 year we sold 0 turbines. I really questioned if I should be in this industry or not. And so I had 3 young children and a family to care for. But what we'll talk about today is this industry is incredibly resilient. So I'll make it real personal. The company was slimming down, and I got caught up in that. And so I think it was like December 15th. And so it was a rough holiday, not a lot of people hiring, and I got on the grind, and we had a short fuse in my family. There wasn't a lot of resource to gather from, so it was get out and get a job. And along the way, like I said, I was questioning this industry or not. And how to best provide. There was probably the greatest moment in my marriage. My wife came, we had a back office, and I was down there on the grind, and my wife kicked the door in and said, I was looking at some other things, and she said, I don't know much about what you do, but it seems like you really enjoy it, and I'm gathering you're okay at it, so you go out and get the best renewable energy job you can, and we'll be there. And that really was when she could have just kicked me when I was down. Boy, that was the power of knowing your people, I think, as our last speaker said. And so that's what I did. I got on the grind for renewable energy. I love this field we're in. And I ended up making I worked really hard to find connections at a time when most in our industry were not hiring, and certainly not hiring for positions of responsibility and additional leadership. And so I ended up getting my foot in the door at Apex. I came to interview for a position that was about 2 rungs lower than what I had expected, and I was willing to maybe take a step back, move forward, and I was grateful enough and kind of fortunate enough to find a company that needed me right at the right time. That didn't all happen in a day. This was over the course of several weeks and several months. And it was about getting my foot in the door. I worked really hard to do that. Networked across the board. What I found were people that I could get along with and people I thought I could help. So I took a job in a kind of a general role, did that job for about 2 years. I was the COO for 6 or 7 years, and I've been in this job now for 3 years. So I guess my point of all that is just when you think you're on your kind of lowest, and you might be at your, a crossroads, that's when there's incredible opportunity that might be waiting for you. You have to work for it. You have to go seek it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. But if you find a spot where the conditions are ripe, where people accept you and are ready to take on the kind of work, and you mesh with the mission and purpose of that organization, things can really excel. And I will often, unfortunately, when we have to separate from an employee, and it's a really tough time for them, and nobody takes pleasure in that, I will remind them of that. It probably comes across terribly at that time, but when we have a chance to reflect, like, this might be your moment. Might not be. It took me quite a while to find Apex. I was in 3 renewable energy companies in the first half of my career, and one, for the duration of my career going forward, the last 11 years, and as long as they'll have me. So hope that helps, Kelly.
I think everyone on the stage is an engineer. Robert, I'm assuming.
I'm a finance background.
Fine.
I'm a light engineer, so yeah, very light.
And I was a bad engineer.
There you go. He's a financial engineer.
Financial engineer.
I guess what roles do you look when you're looking at talent and young talent that's sort of rising to the top? What roles do you think can be most valuable? I mean, I'm a lawyer. I work with a lot of engineers. But is it finance? Is it engineering? Is there one thing that's going to allow you to rise to the top in this industry?
I guess it was directed at me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a particular role. I think it's what the person's made of. I value resourcefulness, people who, you throw a challenge at them and they find a way, right? Maybe they don't have all of the information, but they know how to find the right person to fill in that blank or to find that missing puzzle piece and to put it together. So I wouldn't say it's a particular background. I've seen CEOs and executives come in all different types of shapes and forms. I've seen guys come from the field, guys come from engineering, guys from finance like myself. I've actually seen people in the legal field make it to this top role. So I think it's really about what you're made of and your ability to bring people together to solve problems and to work through things. So there's the question,
what do you have to be made of?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think it's about getting things done and going around roadblocks to achieve a goal. And I think the other part of it is bringing people along. I think we've all seen that person that's gotten things done, but you look back and there's a bloody field of bodies behind them. I think the way you do things also matters as well.
Thank you. Jason, what do you wish someone had told you about this position? What are some of the sacrifices I think that you make to be a CEO that we never think about?
Yeah, the one that sticks out to me is I've never been in a role that's more 24/7, 365. You have to be on all the time. You can't walk through the office without being on because you never know who you're going to run into, what question's going to come up, when you're going to get a phone call for somebody, and you don't know what the potential topic could be. because a lot of times you get people to reach out that may be the most important problem in their day. You know, to your point, you got people that want to collaborate and they're looking to you to help guide. And I found it's very dangerous if you're not on all the time, because somebody can come away with a very bad interaction if you're not. So that's something that it's been a learning for me. It's been a learning for my family, that when the phone rings and it's 8:30 at night and you take the call and you get the look across the table like, it's generally pretty important if they're going to reach out. So that's what's been really eye-opening to me.
I used to be at an organization, and we ran a program called C-Suite Academy. And so it was for a small group of people who are literally one rung below the C-suite at a Fortune 500 company, a Bank of America. And I remember the facilitator said to them, go home and have a conversation with your family and let them know you'll never see them again. And help them understand the sacrifices that this is going to be, and that it's not just about you, it's the entire family that will feel this difference. And so for everyone on the panel, was that a similar experience, that this is, the entire family has to buy into this role?
I'd like to take that one because we are a different type of company. We really do care. So caring about people having the opportunity for work-life balance is important to us. It's something that I never achieved, but I don't expect my team members to sacrifice, because when you have team members that are working that hard all the time, the number of errors that are made, and even if they're being paid well, they still at some point question whether it's worth it. When I was raising 3 young kids, I remember feeling that I was required to sacrifice, and I did make sacrifices. A few of them I regret, and I don't want a team that feels like they have to sacrifice. They have to do a great job. There will be times and projects during which I absolutely will expect, work through a weekend or a holiday because you just have to. But that should not be the norm. And I think that one of the things this country needs to figure out is how not to bring trauma and pain upon their high-performing executives and team members, because it's not necessary. It is necessary to plan well and to compromise sometimes on profit. But we were humans before we were CEOs, and we should lead with our humanity.
But I have to ask this, Carla. Do you think you could have grown your company and been as successful in 26 years? Have you been able to actually have work-life balance in that 26 years, or is this something more recent?
So if I knew 26 years ago what I know now, I would never have started a company. And it's rare to hear a successful entrepreneur say that. I started my company in 2000. I thought I was going to be retired by 2015 because we were doing so well. But 2008, the recession hit. 2012, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so I knew she had a very short time. And instead of me being able to go and see about my mom, I had to keep working so I could make sure she was taken care of. But I could have taken a leave of absence from a job, but because our entire family was basically dependent on my company, I couldn't do that. So it's kind of like getting married, It's like if you knew at the end, those of you all have experienced the end, and I have, would you do it? It's a journey I don't regret, but I know a lot of my friends retired with really good pensions and pensions, y'all, because when I started, they still had those, and very financially well off. And I probably would have taken that route if that was an option for me.
No, I think but it's a very fair question. I think people have to look eyes wide open because, as you said, it's a very rewarding job to have, but there's no way I'd be where I was if it wasn't for my wife and entire family. We moved 5 times that wherever the opportunity was, we moved. Kids changed schools a bunch of times. None of that's easy. And now that they're grown, they'll all say, well, it helped us grow. It helped us be better. It was hard. And I can tell you, my wife looks forward to retiring from being CEO of the home whenever I do. So everybody is given their all to do this job.
Ken?
Yeah, I mean, that's really well said, Jason. We built a lot, burned a lot of scratch, moving the kids around the country. You know, my oldest son said one time we had lived in Connecticut, and then we went to California, and then we went to Colorado, and he said, I know where we're going next, Dad. And I said, okay, I don't know where we're going. And he said, we're going to Delaware. We hit all the sea states. We ended up in Virginia. So same thing. I think it, in part, made him more resilient, but there was some scratch, no question about it. Thankfully, it's 2026, and we are a lot more flexible than we've ever been. We have access to people all the time. You know, we can travel, we can do those things. We often can't do that alone. It takes an incredible amount of support from family, from coworkers, and everyone. But I think I don't necessarily ascribe to the work-life balance in the traditional sense. I think you got to find your own balance. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things when I got promoted to COO, you know, my wife would always, if I was engaged with her and the phone rang or I checked and I did the Pavlovian response, that was not a good move. And with the new job, we set some work rules. And I said, you know, at the time, my predecessor was an immediate need person. And if you didn't respond to him, he'd create a lot more work. And he's a great guy, easy to work for, but in that regard, you want to respond immediately. And so I said, just let me multitask, just like for a few minutes, and I'll be right back. And those kind of just intentional little rules to just like, I'm going to take this, but I'm going to return. Or we're going to set some expectations that we can both adhere to. Were very helpful in our marriage, but also balancing an incredible workload and the responsibility that goes with it.
And Robert?
Yeah, work-life balance is a fallacy, right? I think you said you have to kind of find what works for you. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. My kids are young, and take today. They're on vacation today, but I had meetings and things like that, so I couldn't join them. We have other things planned this year, so there are times that you miss out on some of those moments. But one of the things I try to do is not miss the really big moments. So I have a 5-year-old, just turned 5 last week, who graduated pre-K, right? So not missing pre-K graduation, because that's the most important graduation, right? Or donuts with dads and all of those things. So trying to make sure that I make it home as much as I possibly can for story time, for bath time, and pull my fair share. And I have a 18-month-old who, that kid loves me to death when I'm on the road. Once she gets the phone, nobody else is getting it back. So just trying to make sure that I carve out the time for family. But you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, you don't make it to this role unless you get things done. And sometimes getting things done is not in the confines of a 8 to 5 time frame, right? Sometimes it's late at night, sometimes it's over the weekend, sometimes you have to take that call during dinner, right? But I think the key is to make the most of the moments that you get and plan ahead. That's what I try to do. We joke about it in the office. We have 2 calendars. I have my work calendar and I have my family calendar. And you never want to miss a family calendar item. You have to do the walk of shame. And my 8-year-old reminds me, Mommy's mad at you because you missed what, so.
Kelly, I would like to offer, though, being the mother of a family is very different because mothers are the calendar keepers. That calendar that you look at, somebody's staying up late at night and getting up early in the morning and keeping that calendar. But just wanted to have one for the sisters out there trying to do it every day.
Good catch, Carla. I'm not a CEO. I've been a COO 5 times, and I did have to leave one of those husbands along the way. So, Robert, I want to stay with you. Last year was shocking for all of us in the industry. It just seemed like it was just hit after hit in the industry. You just came on as COO in October of 24. Mm-hmm. So from the time you got named to moving through last year and working through last year, what was that like?
It was insane. We, got a board mandate to, grow the company. Then you had the industry slow down as there was a lot of uncertainty around the One Big Beautiful bill and where things were going. And I think we were talking about the pressure of the job. It's not just we have 1,700 employees, 1,700 families, and every decision you make is potentially going to impact not just people that are working for you, but their families. So what we tried to focus on were the things that we could control. So I didn't say this in my opening. We're a utility scale solar and battery storage EPC. And we set our North Star to providing projects that are safe, quality, on time, and on budget. So everything came back to those four core things. So the way that we organized the business, the way that we hired talent, the way that we thought about our culture was all to kind of meet that. And what we said was the industry and the tailwinds and headwinds are going to do whatever they're going to do, but we're going to focus on what we can control, and we're going to build our foundation. And once the industry really got clarity on the tax credits, and more projects were let, we really were in a better position to execute. And as we've executed, we've seen demand for our services skyrocket. And I think just about controlling what you can control and just rallying the team around things that are tangible to them.
So everyone, and I want everyone to answer that question, but everyone thinks that the CEO is never scared, is never afraid. It has all the answers. Were you ever afraid?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is one of probably the biggest things. Like I don't have answers most of the time. Most of the time people come to me and it's like, well, what do you think? You're closer to it. And I think over my career, I've really prided myself on being able to figure things out and ask the right questions and bring the right people into the conversation to get a diverse perspective about whatever we're facing. And at the end of the day, the decisions that are made at this level, not like a hot stove that you touch and you get the answer right away. These decisions unfold over years at a time. So it's really about just being comfortable in knowing that everything you do while you're doing it, and you're giving your all to it and putting your best foot forward, and you're letting your principles kind of guide you in your decision making.
So we'll start with Carla, just the impact of last year and how you weathered that with the company and just personally.
Yeah, the last year was disorienting to me. I remember in January sitting doing what-if scenarios about tariffs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Then it would change. Not only that, the DEI, I am a proud product of DEI. I went to school to an HBCU on a scholarship. I would never be here if I did not believe in DEI. And so having everything that you believe in outlawed, literally outlawed, and even some of our most loyal customers were asking us to take Black, Indigenous, Brown, equity off our website so they could continue to do business. And we stood 10 toes down because, I'm a Joshua 1:1 type of person, and if y'all don't know what that means, God has promised me some things, and I'm holding him to it no matter what's going on. But I was actually in pain last year because we had worked so hard. Money was being clawed back for so many of the projects that we were working on. And unlike any other time in my career, I feared for the safety of some of my team members, and they feared for my safety. So we're not just talking about a business. We're talking about a cultural change that occurred where we're planning a conference and I'm talking to the sheriff and the FBI is calling me because we have a prominent speaker that they're concerned about. So as a leader, it was totally disorienting. It was like, you all know how you shake a snow globe? It was like trying to make a decision in the middle of everything whirling around you, and then knowing that there were still some other things that you needed to be prepared for, but you just didn't know what they were. What I will say about that situation is there's this African proverb that says, they tried to bury us, they did not know we were seeds. And we have grown so much from the experience of navigating the hot mess that last year and the beginning of this year were, that we're stronger. We figured it out. We kept looking for gaps. Okay, if this door's closed, where else can we go? So we literally are a better company for having been through last year. I pray for the people that can't say that. A lot of people have been irreparably harmed.
Ken?
Wow, great answer. That's tremendous.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was on a panel a while back, and someone said, how do you sleep at night, or what's keeping you up? And I said, I sleep like a baby. No problem at all. I think I try to focus on what I can control and what I can't control. And a few months ago, my daughter was sitting at the kitchen counter and completely called me out on that. She said, "Dad, we know you're trying so hard not to stress out. We know when you're stressed out." So that's part of it. I think for me, the kind of internal mechanism is we have never been more prepared, never been better, never been more set up for success as an industry than we were going into this administration. And I can't understand why at this time all this is going on. It makes no sense. That's the part that makes me angry, and the part that I have to start putting down the news and what I've committed to, and I'm not great at it, is focusing on the policy side of things and all that's going on, when it pertains to the work. It's not doing me any good. I live in Charlottesville. They're not getting me there, so to speak, when I'm just going about my business. But when it comes to work, it's incredibly frustrating. I might have mentioned in the outset, I started my career as an infantry officer in the Army, and that's another place that's getting torn down. So the two pillars of my life, renewable energy, from a professional sense, renewable energy and the Army are probably two places that are getting destroyed for absolutely no reason. So that's anger. But I think, as leaders, as people of character, what can we do about it? And I think my reaction last year within the policy center in ACP was, we're going to just we're not going to poke the bear. But we've been punched in the face, and so now we're going after it. Got nothing to lose. So if you get punched, get in the stance and fight like hell. So that's where we are. Maybe just one more thing, Kelly. A colleague said last year, made some public remarks, and it just really fits our industry. Renewable energy has been through a lot of turmoil. And because we're so well prepared, because we've invested, we can weather these storms better than we ever have. We would have never had anything like this just a few years ago. Yeah. Just coming together in these kind of forums. But the way he said it, I thought it was really good. It's the old Billy Joel song, we didn't start the fire. It was always burning. There's always something brewing that is ready to knock us out. It's how we respond to it that allows us to go forward. And what I love about this industry is we are incredibly resilient. So thanks. Sorry, Jason.
Jason.
No, these three said it extremely well. And my frustration came from the fact that because I'm an engineer, I'm a very logical thinker, and I just go by the data. And I'm used to living in that world where you can put the data down, you have an intelligent conversation, and you get to an answer. It may not be the answer you want, but you understand where you end up. In this past year or two, logic hasn't added up, and that's tough for me. And what I found that has energized me, energized our company, is what I heard in here. It's getting back to your values. It's doing things that you truly believe in and doing it well. And when you do work through that adversity and you get to the other side and you get a win, it is so much more enjoyable. We had a project that was fully developed, ready to build, and it got stopped because of permitting delays. Just absolutely paused. Extremely frustrating. And the fact that we were able to go into a bit of the lion's den, went to DC, argued our point, talked about the fact that the projects we build are 100% domestic. We use domestic modules, domestic steel, union labor, and we walked out of that meeting with a permit. and that project starts construction next month. Those are the wins that make all the other logical headaches not worth it.
Yeah. So everyone in here, of course, is a budding CEO. So you have to ask the question, what do they do to get on your radar? So if you're at Apex and you're 4 levels down, what is going to stand out to you?
Yeah, there's a paradigm that I've used with our team, and there's a book I pulled it from, but it's kind of three characteristics. So one is work ethic. If you hear me talk for a minute, I'm just a worker. I try to work really hard. And I asked someone recently on an interview, I said, what is it that differentiates you from the other candidates? And as I asked that question, I thought to myself, well, how would I answer that question? And probably I would have said, it's not smart, it's not knowing things, it's like, I'm just gonna outwork people. So work ethic is one part of the stool. The second is intellect. You gotta bring the knowledge. You have to bring something to the table. And the third, I think, is really appropriate when we talk about values, is humility. And if you get to the center of those three, you're the ideal team player. And we talked earlier, Robert talked about what type of person makes it to the CEO. Well, if you look at our industry, it is so varied. As a developer of projects, someone that builds projects and then owns and operates those projects, there are so many different functional areas that we have to bring to the table. It is about team. So we talk a lot about wanting to be that ideal team player. And if you get out of balance between ego, effort, and intellect, that's where you start to not be an ideal team player. So team player, and it's bringing your best self. It's not every time is going to be your best effort, but bringing your best self, I think Carla said that earlier, to the table. Those are the things that stand out for us. When someone has that paradigm just right, like that's a team player, we can plug them in anywhere to move things forward. That's really important for us.
So does that mean you're looking for employees who are volunteering for things, who are even internally, maybe volunteering to lead different employee programs or opportunities, and does that...
Volunteering to come into the office every now and then.
Volunteer to come into the office.
I got a call from one of our best performers, and he says, hey, what I have to do to be promoted? So-and-so got a promotion, so-and-so. I said, we see them all the time. So when an opportunity comes up, they are on our minds. You do great work, but you do it in your bunny slippers. So we forget that you're even there because we never see you. And do you think he started coming into the office? No. And he's missed several promotions because we want people who want to engage with us, who want to engage with our customers. I don't have a problem with people working from home. And he, as I said, he's a high performer, but he absolutely is making a calculation that his comfort is more important than his ascension.
That's right. I don't think that's a controversial statement, but certainly I get pushback when I say, because it is top of mind. When you think about an opportunity, it's like, okay, who did I see? Who did I interact with? It's just top of mind.
It's top of mind.
Yeah.
So I'll ask that question. So Robert, what do you look for? What is the, not just advice, but real advice on how people get on your radar?
Yeah, I think the people who really understand how value is created, so how the company creates value for our customers, and in understanding in their roles, how they can play a part of that equation. So through my career, I've always tried to understand, not only what business we're in, but how does my role contribute to that value equation, and then look for opportunities to improve or to create value. And that's really served me well. I can think of multiple times in my career where everybody knows when you get into a role, you're handed a process. And you get asked, well, why is this process done? Well, it's the way we've always done it. I've always taken the approach that everything we do can and should be changed to be more efficient, and to create value. And then also just being creative and thinking about, all right, we do this today, we win this way with our customers today. what other areas can we add to create more value for our customers? I think if you start talking and thinking in those terms, like the opportunities will find you. You'll be that person that gets on the radar of senior management, because that's where the game is won or lost.
Jason.
Yeah, you've heard a lot of really good advice from these three, and I would weave that together and say, be willing to do anything, be willing to work for or with anybody. I've had 14 different jobs in my career. How many of those have I applied for? Any guesses? My very first co-op assignment in college was the only job I ever applied for in my career. And I went into every job I had, to Ken's point, and I worked as hard as I could. I did stuff that people didn't want to do, and someone would come and say, hey, I got another job I want you to do. I'll do it. A lot of those jobs I didn't want to do, but I jumped in and I did it. And who you work for or who you work with, you're going to find people that you don't like, that you don't agree with, but you got to figure out how to navigate with them. You got to find out what motivates them and how to be part of their team, how to bring them in. Because if you can figure those two things out, the what will take care of itself. And that's, I don't know, right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's how I got here. And when they came and offered me this position, I listened, and I told the two board members that approached me, I said, can I think about it over the weekend? Oh, absolutely. And I got in my car and I'm driving home, and 5 minutes later I get a call from the one board member. He goes, what the heck are you doing? I said, well, I'm serious. I want to think about it. I want to do a good job in the role. And I made sure I got my mind right and went all in. But I don't want to do something half off. But yeah, outwork everybody. Don't be afraid to do whatever it is. And the humility part is a huge part. How many of you know the security guard that works at your building? How many of you know the person that delivers or that waters the plants?
That is so
knows their family, knows their story, stops and talks to them, asks how their day is. There's nobody in the organization that is any more or less important than anybody else that's there.
Yeah. When I was a baby on Capitol Hill, I remember, and then I became a lobbyist, and I remember knowing everything that was going on because I knew all the doormen, all the executive assistants, all the janitors. They heard everything.
They did.
And because we were so nice to them, we had all the information and other people didn't. And it was just being nice to everyone around us. Carla, you did mention that you would never start a company if you knew what you know now. But this year we are bringing in some entrepreneurial voices because we know everyone does not want to be at a company their entire career. So based on what you know now, what advice would you give to your former self or to people in the audience about what to really think about?
Yeah, I would really say, we say not work-life balance, but you have to have a working life and something that gives you energy, no matter what you're doing. These jobs can drain all of your energy. So make sure you have something that actually gives you energy, that you're investing in yourself. I think the most important thing, though, is to identify a gap in the industry, because we're really blessed right now. There's so many gaps in clean energy. Everything has to be figured out. Figure out something and work to deliver that, because that's really been our growth. Everything that we are doing right now, other than energy efficiency, was an answer to an issue or a problem that we made into a system. So pay attention to what's going on out here, because there is so much opportunity. The biggest mistake I made when I first started my company is I hired the best engineers I could find. I hired the best technical executors I could find. You want to talk about some jerks, and I'm being nice when I say jerks, I'm cleaning up my language. Surround yourself with good people. I would rather have a moderately capable engineer who's open to learning, sharing, communicating, and being part of the team, as opposed to someone that you have to kind of coax into doing their jobs. But people are everything, you all. The people that you hire, hiring good people will make or break you personally as a leader, but also your company's reputation and your company's performance. So please, please pay attention to the people that you partner with, that you surround yourself with, and that you take advice from. Because early on, I took advice from people that didn't know anything more than I knew, and I paid them for it. So be curious enough to find things out for yourself.
Thank you. That was really sage advice. So these are any final thoughts from all of you? Carla, we can stay on you and come down.
I'm sorry?
Final thoughts for the audience as we close out our panel.
So yeah, I have this saying, I quote myself, you all, other people quote other people, but I quote myself. And my favorite quote by me is, "Courage is a renewable resource." And that quote was solidified in my heart last year when everything was going wrong, everything was disorienting. I'm a hypersensitive person, so I was feeling all of that. But when you know that you know that you know, then just be courageous and do what you need to do.
Yeah, well, wonderful, Carla. I was just going to add, if you've listened to what we've said for a bit, maybe in our formative times, but certainly as a CEO, intentionality. So it was just whatever the task was in front of me, that was what was the most important thing. I had never had a roadmap for being this job or having this position. I just wanted to provide value where I was. So I turned that into a mantra in our company. It's lead from where you are. Don't try to be in a position that you're not. Be that team player, be intentional about it, and lead from where you are. Provide the value, the genuineness, the courageousness that Carla mentioned, and lead from wherever you are. And more than not, through maybe some hard times and setbacks, things will work out in the end.
Robert.
Yeah, I'll say work hard. Work hard, help others. I think it always kind of comes back to you full circle. Be present in the moment, whether you're working or at home, whatever you're doing. Just be all in. And I think if you take care of people and you give your best, you'll have good outcomes.
Say be present one more time. I don't like to have my phone in meetings. I try to be present. It means I work all night because I got to catch up on anything. But being present is so incredibly important.
Yeah, turn the switch, right? So whatever meeting you're in that meeting. But when you get home, whatever you're doing at home, be all in it versus halfway in. And the people around you will appreciate it more, and you'll get more out of the moment. So be present. Yep.
And Jason.
Just say, do what you love. Do what makes you get out of bed in the morning. And it's got to be important to you, not because somebody else thinks it should be important to you.
Thank you. So before we close out and we thank our guests, this morning in my opening remarks, I talked about how supportive our CEO, Jason Grumet, and our executive team and our board of directors have been for this program. And even when times were tough, we continued this program. And this year, of course, we've had great success, and it's going to be a wonderful 2 days. But one of the things that the advisory committee asked us to do was give all the participants an opportunity to really sit down with our CEOs, an opportunity that you might not otherwise have. And so we've asked our panelists, we have several other CEOs from our board who've walked in, Jason, our executive team, who are going to join you at your table to talk to you about why you're here, what your career ambitions are, how to get to that next level, soak in the information. They want to hear from you. Please take the opportunity to ask them questions, and we're really grateful that they're taking this opportunity to sit with you and to be in community with you. So I want to thank our panelists, I want to thank our board and our leadership at ACP for making this happen. Thank you all.